Hi, Katie.
Hi, Johannes. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Really excited to just share what we're both doing and talk more about the Cadence original shoe.
Yeah, awesome. Well, this is the first of our partner spotlights, and we're going to do a few more of these. So thanks for being willing to join us. You joined us in the communication around Cadence and what we do very early on in our journey. So we launched about a year ago, and I think from the get-go, we were introduced and had a good vibe going. At least I can say that for for our end. And yeah, it's great to have you on the show as the first.
Yeah, the feeling's mutual. And honestly, like I hadn't ever seen an adaptive shoe like the Cadence original, and I was just super excited to try it out myself and share it with my community. So, yeah.
Awesome. So let's jump right in. Tell us a bit about yourself and your journey with cerebral palsy. What's that been like for you? Um,
Sure.
what should our viewers know about you, and what should they know about cerebral palsy? Because not everybody in our community has cerebral palsy, but there's
Mhm.
quite a big amount of people that are from the CP community.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. So, for anyone who doesn't know, cerebral palsy is a brain injury that happens usually around birth. So, I was born prematurely. I'm an identical twin. So that's kind of like a really common scenario where CP can happen. So, it's just sort of trauma to the brain. And so, I experienced a pretty severe brain bleed. And it ended up kind of manifesting in the left side of my body. So, I have what's called left hemiplegia CP. But growing up, honestly, I was kind of one of those kids that was just like I threw myself into anything. I have three siblings. I grew up in a really active family, and so I did community soccer until I was 19 years old. I really was kind of one of those kids that just like didn't let my CP stop me, nor did my parents. kind of, uh, I don't know. That really just shaped how I saw myself, and I guess at the time, like being disabled just wasn't really in my thought process until I got older. And in my early 20s, I experienced two pretty severe stress fractures in both of my feet. And that just kind of completely immobilized me for a couple of years. And that was hard. I was in my early 20s, like a college student, just wanting to do what everyone else did. And pretty shortly after that, though, I discovered the ExoSim device, which is a pretty, I guess the way to describe it is a dynamic ankle foot orthosis.
Hmm.
Um, and so I've been wearing that for the last 8 years. And that's kind of like, I look at it as like my life with CP, like 2.0. Like,
Yeah.
I just started to understand myself as more of an adaptive athlete. I started to really embrace my disability and my CP, and kind of all throughout that journey I was also building a community of other young adults with CP. It was a blog that I started when I was a teenager called Teen CP, and now it's called Cerebral Palsy Strong. And this year, actually, we just incorporated as a nonprofit organization, and we have our 501(c)(3) designation. So it's kind of all culminating around this time in my life. It's exciting to not only share my story with CP and CP Strong, but also give others an opportunity to share their stories with cerebral palsy. And that's really what inspired CP Strong in the first place, was learning about other people with CP, knowing that we're all out here kind of wanting community, wanting connection, wanting to feel a sense of belonging. And so that's really my goal with CP Strong, is to kind of keep that online community and storytelling going strong, but really to find a way to bring our efforts offline and build a sense of community in person. We've actually hosted a few events already, pre and post pandemic, in person. And that was just such an amazing experience to be in a room with 30, 40 people with CP, and kind of know what that experience of living with a disability is like. And so that's kind of my plan for our future, is to continue to expand our CP social events program and bring people together. So
That's
I know
amazing.
that's a really long
No, no,
answer to
no.
the question, but
That is fantastic. Before we jump into Cerebral Palsy Strong and the resources you provide and the information you share, I would like to know how, and I think that's important probably for everyone viewing, how does cerebral palsy affect you on a daily basis? Can you share?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it depends on if I'm wearing my exosim device or not. So without it, I don't have that heel to toe gait pattern on my left side. And so that ankle flexion that you would normally have in a typical gait pattern. So I walk with a pretty distinct limp,
Hmm.
lots of tightness on my left side. Um, and then with my exosym, it kind of compensates for that, makes my gait more symmetrical and kind of offloads any weight bearing that I'm experiencing too. So from like a pain perspective, I'm not really experiencing a whole lot of that, which is amazing. And so I've worn it pretty much every day since
Wow,
I've
that's
gotten it eight
awesome.
years ago, and it's allowed me to be as mobile as I want to be. And I think a lot of people too, we worry about falling or we fall a
Yeah.
lot, and I think that's always kind of a risk without my exosim. But that's why I like to wear it, is I feel like I'm just kind of able to have more stability and momentum, and my posture's better. But that's primarily how my CP affects me, a little bit in my kind of hand and wrist, I guess like coordination
Yeah.
is there, but it's mostly walking impairment for me.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And then so that would be a perfect segue into shoes, which we can talk about in a moment. But back to Palsy Strong for a second. When we first met in person here in Santa Barbara, I want to say a few months ago, you shared with me that there's a good amount of research and guidance and support happening, of course, when you're born, and then as a toddler, preteen,
Mhm.
teen, but then it falls off a cliff and there's almost no
Yeah.
resources. And from what I understood from you back then, it was like you were building this platform to provide resources beyond for adults that, of course, still have cerebral palsy and
Mhm.
have a lack of resources. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, absolutely. You describe kind of the situation that we're all in pretty well. And I think it was one of those things where I think we were all just experiencing it all at once together and narrating that experience as we moved along, and realized it was such a problem, really, or a need that I realized CP Strong needed to fill. Was that, well, once we age out of that healthcare system, we can no longer see the pediatric doctor that we've been seeing maybe our whole childhood. Like, where do we go? And I think other foundations in the CP nonprofit space are doing, or are looking to create those healthcare guidelines and resources, and satisfy like that need for medical care and navigating that, because that's just a whole part of living life with a disability, is managing your healthcare as you age.
Yeah.
But I think what's really exciting about CP Strong is we can create spaces for ourselves to at least narrate those experiences, and kind of more or less like co-create solutions, and say like, hey, from a grassroots level, like, this is what I did, and this is how it is when I turned 30, and this is how my body started to change. And because no one's really uh sharing that, like, we don't have any of our elder peers with CP saying like, hey, these are the tests you need to be getting as you age. And so I think it's such a mystery of what happens, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be. And so I'm looking for CP Strong to fill that gap of the more or less the social support and the social engagement side of things, because I think there is a desire to, be mentored by our peers and get that access to information, but also share our experiences too, and help more or less our younger generations coming up into adulthood and navigating college, relationships, uh, being an athlete, and what that looks like. And so I was really excited to even see the Paralympics and see all these athletes sharing their own experiences. And so I think CP Strong really has the potential to create the kind of community that we're looking for. And I think we've done that online, and now I think it'll be even more important to take that offline through our CP social events from, a national level, regional level, but also even a more localized level. It would be my dream to be able to have my community members host CP socials in their own communities and enable that to happen. So it's kind of where
That's
we're headed.
amazing. So do you have any sort of physical get-togethers planned? And I love that you started in the digital space because it's easy to discover for people. They don't have to travel anywhere, which can be costly for a lot of folks that already are strained with medical bills and whatever have you.
Mhm.
So I love that you did that. What are you envisioning for your first few physical experiences?
Yeah, so we've hosted two CP socials already, and they've really been kind of a more informal, like networking kind of space, like happy hour. That's kind of like the vibe that we're going for, is just like,
Nice.
we're all 21 plus at this point. Let's share our stories, in a 5 minute like format on the stage. Let's have Q&A panels about certain topics that, when the participants signed up to attend the event, they shared like, these are the things that I want to talk about at the CP social. And so I kind of really formed the agenda around the kinds of things that people were looking to hear from our peers, whether it's, parenting with a disability, um, managing healthcare, or learning about new assistive technology and, products like yours. So I think it was kind of just like a shared desire to curate the event that way, where we're just not only having fun and meeting each other, because for quite a few of these people, the, the first time they walked into that room was the first time they met another adult with CP
Wow.
like them. And that's like life changing. It
Yeah.
was life changing for me, and it was really special to create that space. And I think so many people deserve to experience that. And so whether we can curate that in a Zoom room, it's going to be even more powerful in a physical space. And I do want to address that, yes, traveling with a disability is almost impossible for some people. And I think, we're going to work on ways to balance opportunities to come together wherever we are.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And tip my hat to you for setting this up and getting it going. Very much grassroots, like we are here on Cadence's side as well. So that's really cool. I've been to a few of these events for other community partners, and the energy is always, it can be felt, and it's amazing when you get
Hmm.
people that share a common ailment in the room, trade stories, and just have somebody to listen to what you're going through and have similar experiences. It's just always such a great experience. So kudos to you for
Yeah.
doing that.
Thank you.
Um,
And I just want to add to our next CP social is actually going to be in New York City this November.
wow,
So
cool.
we just opened up registration for that. I'd be happy to share more information with your community about that.
Awesome. We'll add that to the show notes, of course. Yeah, and we hope that this platform can amplify what you do to our cerebral palsy community within Cadence. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that's there. Tell us a bit about, so you trialed our shoes. I think you even got a
Yes.
blue one. So
Yes.
um, what was sort of your first experience, and how have you been using them?
Mhm.
The good, the bad, all of it. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Well, I was really excited to receive my first pair of Cadence original adaptive shoes. One, because I think what stood out to me initially was, doing the unboxing, knowing that the shoe was going to be so lightweight and stylish. Um, and also just help me get around in a safe way. Like, even before I put it on, I was so excited to just see the look and the design of it and hold it in the hand because it was so lightweight. There were just so many things that had been missing from the shoe industry, I guess you could call
Yeah,
it. Like, I had never really seen a shoe like this. Shoes are such a huge pain point for myself and the whole CP community. I just know that for a fact.
how so?
Um,
If you don't mind me asking.
I mean, I think it depends on if you're, ambulatory and you're walking every day. And a common, I would say, gait for people with CP is to walk on our toes.
Hmm.
And so, you're
It's
constantly scuffing your shoes.
like that. Hmm.
You're ruining a good pair of shoes in a matter of weeks, and so it's expensive. Um, or let's say, you want to wear like a cute shoe or stylish shoe, and like it doesn't have a strong heel, and your foot just kind of slides right out of it. And so like the needing the shoe to your foot to feel secure in the shoe is a really big factor. Also having the support because your gait is already impaired and you're maybe walking abnormally, and so your body's going to put weight on different parts of the shoe, and you need that stability. So none of that. I've never really experienced a shoe where I felt like, oh, this is going to be game changing for people with cerebral palsy, not just myself. um, and so, putting it on, I was also really excited to not have to tie it. It just kind of like really
Yeah,
easy to
it's
get
got a
on,
little
super
Velcro. Yeah,
fast. Yeah. It was a little challenging for me to secure my heel in it, like just putting it on. I think, I struggle with having any of that ankle flexion, so I had to really
yeah.
like help myself put it on. But once I was in, and I could secure it down. Um, and then definitely the first couple of steps, I think it takes some getting used to. This isn't your everyday pair of shoes. I think it has a very
That's right.
specific function, which is helping you not uh, clip your toe on the ground. And so you can explain it better than I can, but having those tucks does take some getting used to,
Yeah.
because maybe you're feeling a little bit unstable, but I think it's actually creating more stability that you wouldn't have in another shoe.
It's so interesting
So
you bring this up. This is a common experience for about a quarter of our customers, and that it is you have never walked on something like this before, but also what we've heard, as feedback from our community, if they trust, putting weight in the
mhm,
back and then slowly transition forward and experiment with it and train and stick with it, it's like riding a bike. You got it, and then you then
yes,
you have then you can reap the benefits of it. But no, I certainly
yeah,
appreciate what you're saying, that there's a bit of a learning curve there. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I think too, a question I've gotten, a question you've probably gotten is, okay, well, can my AFO fit in the
Yep.
shoe? I kind the way This is just my personal opinion. I um almost think you don't need your AFO when you're wearing it, because it's kind of having the same function of supporting your gait, and
Yeah.
basically a better pattern, and that's what an AFO is designed to do as well. And so I can't wear the Cadence shoe with my XSM just because my foot is too wide.
Yeah.
Um, and I know that you're probably working on some wide width shoes, because obviously that's a huge need. Everyone has, disability or not, everyone has different needs for their shoes.
It's so
Um,
interesting. I'm not sure if you know, but when you visited us at UC Santa Barbara or met with Tyler to try all the shoes, that was sort of the starting point for a complete new R&D project where
I
we're now
remember.
developing an AFO specific shoe that will
Yeah.
be opening extra, so it completely flaps open, is
Oh,
extra wide,
awesome.
extra deep. And then will be the first shoe in the world. To my knowledge, it's sold as a single. So the
Oh,
way
wow.
you would buy a regular pair of the Cadence original shoes, so you can train without your AFO, but then you have the AFO dedicated shoes, so you can rely on your AFO. And yeah, it's right that's great that you can walk with our shoes without the AFO, but there's still a lot of people that depend on their AFO. So we
Right.
needed to honor that and create a product that actually solves for that. And so we hope that that AFO shoe that launches next year will do just
Oh,
that. And
that's so
yeah,
exciting to hear that it's just going to open up where you can slide your foot
you
in. Like
just step in.
that's
Yeah,
huge. Yeah, and so I know, like, just thinking too from an adaptive shoe, like what's out there. I think there's kind of always been option for children,
yeah.
kind of in that pediatric space, and they should definitely keep on doing that. But I love that you launched and adult shoe first, because I think so many people need that. I know so many people who are excited to hear about your shoe and purchased it. They're trying it out. They're sharing their experiences on social media. The way I think I look at using this current shoe is kind of an alternative for me when I'm, maybe my skin needs a break from my XSM, or I'm getting my XSM worked on and I need a comfortable, stable shoe to get around.
Yeah.
I'm always going to turn toward my Cadence Adaptives or Cadence Originals.
All good.
Um, just because I know that's kind of the second best alternative for me aside from my XSM. I have a pair of Vans high tops that I love,
Yeah.
but they're definitely not providing me any sort of support that I need. And even from a like comfort and like that cushion, like my foot needs that now because I've gotten so used to fitting my foot into my exosim that's custom made for me. And so
Yeah.
I feel it's nice to know that the Cadence originals are kind of always there for me when I don't have my exosim to rely on.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What, if you could wish for something, what would you say or ask Cadence to do next from, not you only personally, but the CP community?
Yeah.
You now know we're working on an AFO shoe, but beyond that, what do you think are things that would be helpful to the community?
That's a great question. I mean, I was honestly going to say some sort of AFO alternative just because, AFO or not, like we all want to wear cute, stylish, fun, comfortable shoes. And like that's
Yeah.
still missing from our space and from the options that we're given with these kind of like orthotic looking shoes. Or yeah, even just like the colors. Like I love that you have all the colorways. I'm used to just like, getting kind of stuck with the option that I'm given, whether it's like a brown shoe, a black shoe, or a white shoe,
Yeah.
that maybe my grandfather might wear.
Yeah.
And just so I think continuing to expand, I know that you just came out recently with a new color,
Yeah.
but
The champagne.
yeah, just being able to fit more feet sizes, AFOs, like I think you're kind of checking all the boxes. It sounds like in the next year or so. So um, nothing huge comes to mind beyond that.
Awesome. Um, so one question that I always want to ask is, of course, you're motivated to start Cerebral Palsy Strong. What do you feel like is the most rewarding thing of running the
Mm.
nonprofit for you?
I mean, we just incorporated this year, so I think I'm kind of learning to navigate what that role feels like, and so that in itself has been rewarding. Knowing that what we're building, this is myself and two board members who also have a disability. Knowing that this is community led and we're all building something that we've that's been missing from our own lives for so
Yeah.
long, and knowing that it's going to just support so many people. If it is just like one or two events a year and an online community series, like I would love to dream big. I'm going to dream big and work toward building this organization to support really anyone in the world who needs to feel that kind of sense of belonging and community that they didn't have earlier in life. And also, too, to bring in parents of children with CP, other disabled allies, like companies like yours. I think it's really exciting to think about the possibility for expanding our community, expanding how we collaborate with others. Um, and so I think I'm just excited about that whole process and just seeing how far we can take that.
Awesome. Well, I know we're up against the time here. Share your last thoughts and where can people find you? Where can people find Cerebral Palsy Strong and connect with you online?
Thank you so much. This half hour has flown by. But you can definitely find us on Instagram. I would encourage you to give us a follow at Cerebral Palsy Strong. We also have the hashtag CP Strong. You can find us there. Our website, cerebralpalsystrong.org. And then we just launched our biggest fundraiser ever. If you'd like to support what we're doing and help us build spaces for belonging for adults with CP and our broader community, definitely encourage you to give a donation on our website and check out our fundraising campaign as well.
Awesome. Well, Katy, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming on the show. We'll post all of these links, of course, in the show notes.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best. We, of course, from Cadence are here to support you and your organization, and we'll be donating as well. So you
Yes.
have our full support.
Thank you so much for your support to the whole Cadence team. Just like you said last year when we met, just to see your growth as a company and to kind of parallel our growth as well as an organization is super exciting, and can't wait to continue to support each other.
Awesome.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for your support. Have a great day.
Bye.